What's up, y'all? Esperett here, and the Metroid Marathon continues with the fourth installment into the story of Samus Aran, which takes place directly after the events of Super Metroid. Developed and made for the Game Boy Advance, the story of Metroid continues with Metroid Fusion, which drags Samus not to a new planet, but instead to a space facility where trouble has erupted, and it is up to Samus to clean up house and save the day once again, while sporting a whole new suit design. Can Samus eliminate this new threat? What caused the explosion that stirred up this space station? And furthermore, what is up with this leaner, skin-tight-esque suit that Samus is now sporting? Well, tune in and find out as we dive into, as the title of this video suggests, Nintendo's first horror game, Metroid Fusion. So, like the beginning of Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion starts with an intro cinematic that explains the plot of the game, which is because Samus eradicated the Metroid species on SR-388, an organism that was heavily suppressed because of the Metroids sprung up and have claimed the planet. The organism is known as the X-Parasite. X-Parasites are able to cling to their hosts and mimic whatever their prey is. And Samus, who was escorting a group of Federation researchers to SR-388, came into contact with one of these parasites, and it ended up infecting her suit. However, not really feeling any changes or noticing anything different, Samus shrugged it off and headed back to the space station. While on her way there, she ends up losing control of her body. The X has fully taken control, and with the loss of her body autonomy, her ship drifts into the asteroid belt. Thankfully, Samus survived the collision with the asteroid and was quickly rushed to the infirmary, where doctors worked tirelessly to try and attempt to cure Samus of the parasite. However, it would appear that the X burrowed so deep into her body that it linked her suit to her central nervous system. Despite surgically removing parts of her suit to remedy the situation, nothing is working. So, as a last-ditch effort, the doctors decided to try injecting Samus with Metroid DNA. This DNA was extracted from the baby Metroid that Samus delivered prior in Super Metroid, which the scientists discovered that the Metroid DNA has completely eradicated the X out of Samus's body. However, this also resulted in Samus's power suit to get completely redesigned. With this new suit and Metroid DNA, Samus is sent to this research facility where the pieces of her old power suit reside. Samus is sent to investigate an explosion that occurred within the facility, while also trying to accommodate with her new AI partner. When we land, Samus is briefed on where the explosion was, which is in this containment bay. Upon reaching there, all you will find is a single creature. That is the same creature that Samus encountered on SR-388. And like on 388, you come to find out that the creature is actually an X-Parasite. And this time around, you can absorb it and see no issues. Our AI friend, who is nothing like our trusty friend Hank, man, I really miss Hank. I hope he's doing alright. Anyway, our AI friend, who Samus has dubbed Adam, explains to us that the new power suit can absorb the X-Parasites to regen energy as well as armaments. Now, while briefing us on where to go and what upgrades we are receiving, Adam, he really holds your hand throughout the whole game. I'm just going to say that right now. Which, I'll be honest, I think it's a little too much. I kind of miss Hank's chaotic placements and tricks, but whatever. Anyway, Adam will eventually guide you to your first upgrade. The missiles. Yeah, this time around we aren't getting the Morph Ball first. Later on. But as we get the missiles, the power will seemingly go out. And Adam explains to us that we need to get to the source of it and turn it back on, or take care of it. He also provides us with a ping on where to go. And with our new missiles in hand, we can blow up this grate that's blocking a ventilation shaft. Making our way through, we discovered that the X are also mimicking those goddamn eye doors from Super Metroid. I don't know how they got that idea, but sure, whatever. But as you progress through the door, you will find the cause of the blackout, which, if you recognize it, it's the same creature that held the spring ball in Metroid 2. But also, it is the first boss of the game. So you take out the creature with relative ease, and the X-Parasite will reveal itself. And you take that out easily as well, because all you really have to do is shoot missiles into it. And then you absorb the X and obtain the power-up. The Morph Ball. After dealing with the roly-poly cannoli, we meet back up with Adam. You know what? He's just not Hank. And he explains that there is a situation in one of the lower level sectors and instructs Samus to head there ASAP. When we reach the elevator and as we are descending into the lower levels, we, the players, are given a huge bombshell. So while we know what's happening above, Samus is completely oblivious and is just chilling in the elevator. Which I don't understand how she's doing that, considering there's explosions going on. She's literally sitting in that elevator just hanging out like nothing ever happened. She has no idea what's going on. But anyway, we head over to Sector 1 where the disturbance was pinged. When you enter the navigation room, Adam will brief you, saying that the elevator is currently down to some unknown agent. Which he explains that while the elevator isn't accessible, time to handle the situation in Sector 1, which is supposed to simulate the ecosystem of SR-388. But the X have infected the ventilation system and it needs to be cleared out so that we can have clear air on the synthetic planet, I guess. As you continue through Sector 1, you will encounter a lot of the creatures that we encountered in Metroid 2. However, they are all infected by the X and are slightly altered. Eventually, as you progress, you will find another one of those pesky eye doors, break the eye, and when you enter, you will find a totally normal, absolutely belongs here, 100% not a trap, Chozo statue holding an item. But surprise, surprise, this ends up being a mutated X-Parasite that has a hardened shell, with only one spot to damage it. But when you do kill it, you are given the charge beam, and after you obtain it, you have one last ventilation system to clear out, and after that, it is back to the navigation room to get briefed on your next objective. When we reach the navigation room, Adam informs us that the atmosphere in Sector 1 has been stabilized. However, the X have migrated to the tropical ecosystem of Sector 2, and that unknown agent may be the reason. So it's time to head to Sector 2, not before Samus does some more monologuing about her former colleague Adam, who she, like I said before, named the bot after. Now, when we reach Sector 2, Adam informs us that he has found the identity of the agent. The agent in question is actually an X-Parasite mimicking Samus herself. And not just any Samus. Oh, no, 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 no. This is a fully powered Samus from her ventures into Super Metroid. He also explains that the explosion in the quarantine bay was where Samus's infected suit parts were located, and that the explosion itself was from a power bomb. And not only that, Adam gives us the most chilling bit of dialogue that has ever been uttered in a Metroid game. Yeah, we can't fight this thing. Adam also explains to us that because we are infused with Metroid DNA, that we are very susceptible to cold, and will freeze on the spot if hit with the SAX's ice beam. Yeah, he has that. Don't like that. And we are advised to simply run away if we see it, which I have to be honest. When I initially read that, I was terrified. Because it's the first Metroid enemy that you cannot fight. You have to run away from. Which, as a kid, at first I was thinking, what do you mean I can't fight myself? But Adam does inform us that HQ is deploying a bomb data for us, and we are to head there and obtain it. And with that, the venture into Sector 2 begins. Sector 2 houses the tropical section of SR-388, and it houses the first door unlocking mechanism in the game, which I'll go over real quick. In Metroid Fusion, they added a system where you have to go to these electronic locks and unlock these colored doors in order to progress further. This is mainly a way to for them to keep you on the linear path in the game, but I wanted to bring that up real quick to add some context. So after we unlock the blue doors and obtain the bombs, we can venture further into the biome. Funny enough, that is against our will because after we obtain the bombs, the SAX will blow the doors, leading back to the main room to smithereens. So we have no choice but to advance further into Sector 2. As we venture, we will eventually encounter another big X-Parasite. And, what the fuck is that? Yeah, Mr. Hops over here is the boss of Sector 2, but when you do take it out, you absorb that pesky X and obtain the high jump and spring ball. As we are heading out of Sector 2, it sounds like the SAX is on the move near you as it destroys another pathway for you. Dropping down these crumbling blocks, you find it. Walking around the facility, looking for you. Bear in mind what Adam told us. If we come in contact with it, we are dead. So you let it walk through, and that's what you have to worry about moving forward. We reach navigation, and Adam explains to us that releasing the door lock was a mistake because the SAX was able to access Sector 4, causing chaos in there in a matter of seconds. Adam does instruct us to head over to Sector 4, the water habitat, to secure the area. While on the elevator ride to Sector 4, Samus starts monologuing to herself, questioning if the SAX has reason. Or perhaps a conscience. But brushes it off, stating that it is a threat. It is Samus, but heartless. And it must be stopped before it learns of its potential and become a threat to the universe. Which I have to say, these moments with Samus in the elevator, they're honestly really cool. It's nice getting more dialogue from Samus that's not from the intro of the game. Plus, it's cool seeing Samus in her new suit in more detail, up close. And the fact that this is on the Game Boy Advance is amazing. But let's continue. We get to Sector 4, and Adam, or as I'm going to call him from now on, not Hank, explains to us that the sector has already taken a lot of damage, that the SAX has made its move and even released the ultra-fast creature known as Samus, and theorizes that it may have been hit with the X-Parasite. Not Hank instructs us to head to Samus's breeding tank to take it out before it causes damage to other sectors, while also explaining to us that some of the electrical parts are broken and that the water has been electrocuted and has become volatile. You know, I bet none of this would have happened if Hank were helping us. But we are tasked with taking out Samus and to lower the water levels, which, when we reach Samus' tank, we come to find its carcass. Interesting. But as we progress further into the tank, we enter its breeding chamber, and we encounter the X, which uses Samus' supersonic speed to its advantage. But, thankfully, Samus, being the intergalactic badass she is, takes out the X-Parasite with little effort and is awarded the speed booster. And with us lowering the water levels, it's back to the navigation room to talk to Adam. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep calling him Not Hank. Not Hank explains to us that HQ is providing us with an upgrade in one of the data download locations in Sector 3. Man, how sweet of them, I guess. Again, I still prefer Hank's method of place the items in places and hope I run into them, because it felt more real, but whatever. The upgrade this time around is super missiles. So we head to Sector 3 to continue our crusade there. In Sector 3, Not Hank explains to us that in order to reach the data download, we need to unlock the security doors of the area, which are these green locks, as well as keep a lookout for vicious creatures in the area. With the debriefing over, we head out to unlock that security mechanism, and once we do, the sector is instantly, almost within 0.5 milliseconds, infested with X-Parasites. Man, who would have seen this coming? Anyway, passing the blame on to someone else, we head to the data download to receive our super missiles. Now, as we are exploring, we feel tremors going throughout the ground, and with no other recourse, we head back to the data center to find it being destroyed by some security bot. Though, once again, we are Samus, so we make little work of the bot and head back to navigation to get our next objective by Not Hank. After our venture into Sector 3, Not Hank explains to us that due to unlocking the Level 2 security, Sectors 5 and 6 are available to us, and that the X have more than likely infiltrated them as well. He also explains to us that we need to tread carefully in the next sectors because Sector 5 is sub-zero, and we are still very susceptible to cold. However, he does tell us that HQ is working on providing us with a various suit alternative for this new suit. However, due to the X developing functioning brains, they are en route to destroying all the data rooms. So in order to retrieve this upgrade, we need to head to the night habitat that is Sector 6. Now, before we go into Sector 6 and go further into the story, we get this brief cutscene that shows Not Hank speaking with a mystery individual. Which I'll say this right now. We never find out who this individual is. It could be Hank for all I know. But they ask Not Hank if we suspect anything and to monitor us closely. I have a feeling Not Hank is cooking something for us, but I don't know what. Anyway, back to the story. We make our way to Sector 6, and in the nav room, Not Hank tells us that some of the X-Parasites from Sector 5 have made their way into Sector 6. And we need to avoid them at all costs, because these X have been frozen, and will damage Samus instead of healing us. And these X know that, and they will hunt you down. So we have to be extremely cautious. We are tasked with getting to the very lower levels of Sector 6 to receive the Various suit. Which, getting there is a trip. Dodging enemies, those pesky frozen X-Parasites, and while on the way down there, we encounter the Shadow of Death. Yeah, this is the most horrifying shit you could ever deal with in a Metroid game. For now. But when we eventually do get to the data room, we see an X-Parasite taking the upgrade for itself. Oi! That's mine! I need that, asshole! So we follow the X to this cave-like room, where we square off against it. Once we defeat the big ball of goo, we take it into our bodies. Pause. And we are given the Various suit, and it's time to head back to navigation. Upon reaching navigation, Not Hank explains to us that with the Various suit, we can now venture into Sector 5 and receive a new upgrade. But first, we need to unlock the third security mechanism, which are the yellow doors. Once we unlock those, we are able to receive our new upgrade that is brand new to the whole series. Now, this was explained by Not Hank, but we are given the information that Samus' new suit is unable to accept the Ice Beam due to the Metroid DNA. So the Galactic Federation came up with an alternative, the Ice Missile. Which, I gotta admit, I think that is an L. I don't like the idea of us not having the Ice Beam again. It's my favorite beam of all time. But anyway, once we procure the Ice Missile, we head back to the navigation station, when suddenly an emergency alarm is set off about a boiler in Sector 3 primed to blow, and then we need to stop it ASAP. So we head to Sector 3 and hurry down to the boiler to stabilize it so that the vast chunk of the space station isn't blown to bits and the X have free reign to travel the cosmos. When we do reach the boiler room, we find what appears to be a scientist. Attacking him unveils that it's actually another big X-parasite. And once we defeat it, we are given the Wide Beam, which, in my opinion, it's just the spacer beam with a different name. But with the boiler stabilized, we head back to navigation to get briefed by Not Hank once again. When we reach navigation, Not Hank theorizes that the X are willing to destroy themselves to destroy you, due to you being a threat to the entire X species. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, she does have their natural predator's DNA in them. While he is pondering this, he gets readings of biosigns in the habitation deck, to which the habitation deck is located at the very top, like one of the very top locations of the space station. They could potentially be survivors. He tasks us with checking out the habitation deck to check the biosigns for any life, while also restoring power to the main elevator. When we reached and unlocked the habitation deck, we discovered that the biosigns were the creatures that assisted us on Zebes. Wait, where's Hank? Hank was with them. Hank? Are you okay? Are you in there? Hank? But as we free them, they get out of the habitat, and Samus looks at them and, much like I would, asks them about Hank. But before we can get an answer to that, they scurry off, and as we are heading back to navigation, we get the names of these critters. The Edicoons and the Decorus, which I don't know if I'm saying those right, nor do I think I'll ever know if I'm saying them right at all. And as I mentioned before, these are the same critters that helped us on Zebes, for they recognize us. What a happy reunion, am I right? Reaching navigation, Not Hank informs us about more information about his theory on the X-parasites, as well as an upgrade that HQ is sending us, the power bombs. However, we are to head back into Sector 5 to get it, which isn't too horrible now that we have Varia. As we head back into Sector 5, you'll notice a thing flying around in the background. Don't worry about that. It's not relevant right now. But we get our power bombs and are forced to go through a different route to get out. Which, this new route takes us directly into the path of Other Me. Now, I believe there is no way to get the SAX to not see you during this, so you will end up getting into a bit of a kerfuffle with the bastard. Huh. You know, Not Hank theorized that the X are getting smarter, but I think this instance alone kind of debunks that. But we escape and head back to be briefed by Not Hank. Not Hank orders us back to our ship for some important information. Not sure why he couldn't tell me at navigation, but whatever. As you are heading up the elevator, the power shuts down. So we have to take this secret passageway to the freezer. Ooh, Alright, hold up. Nuh-uh. No way. No, 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 no. Why do they have you here, Ridley? Why? What? Huh? How are you here? He was blown to smithereens. How? How does he have his body? Whatever. When you get close to Ridley's frozen body, the eye will light up and you will see the X-parasite residing within him. And it leaves the body, causing it to collapse into pieces, revealing the way out. Upon reaching the ship, Not Hank explains that the main silo is out and that's what generates power. And it needs to be turned back on, else the station could end up caught in the gravity of a planet or something worse. But before we head out, Not Hank asks us about the creatures that boarded the ship, which turns out to be our buddies. Well, at least they're safe in there. Unless Not Hank has other plans for them. Anyway, as we venture down to the silo, we find these bug-like enemies, just hanging around. Turns out they hatch from those cocoon-like things we've seen in Sector 2. While venturing to the auxiliary power station, we encounter X-mutated space pirate. Man, I really hope Frank? Who's Frank? I really hope Hank wasn't on that ship. But as we progress in Smash and Idor, we find... Oh, I don't like that.
Oh, spiders! Spiders! Get them off me! Get them off me! Get them off me!
It's me!
Yeah, this disgusting shit is the next boss we have to deal with. Ugh. Which, once we do, and take out the big X-parasite, we are gifted with the space jump, as well as access to the auxiliary power. Which... right next to said station is a navigation room. After we get power up and running again, Not Hank... okay, I'll call him Adam from now on. We get it. I miss Hank. I want Hank back. Adam explains that auxiliary power only powers the save and recharge stations, but not the elevators and hatches, and that we need to find the source of all of this shit that's going on, which he believes is the vegetation we saw in the reactor room. So we follow it and encounter me again. This time we have no time and we have to run and gun our way through hatches to get to a place to lose them. After losing our gooey alter ego, we come to find out we are back in Sector 2. And we follow these routes to the source of the whole shebang, which appears to be... What the fuck is that? Is that a Chozo statue? Like, I'm not even kidding. This isn't a bit. I have no idea what the fuck this thing is. But anyway, as you shoot your load into it, pause, it will start to fire a beam-like projectile at you, and eventually mutate into another big X-parasite. When you defeat it, you'll be granted the Plasma Beam, which, much like in Super Metroid, it stays true to its nature and obliterates everything in its path, showing that it is once again the superior beam upgrade. When we reach the nav room, Adam is shocked that we obtained Plasma Beam. And after explaining to us that we are still a little bitch compared to the SAX, Adam discovers more trouble brewing. He finds an explosion was set off in Sector 5 and sends us to investigate. When we get to Sector 5 again, Adam explains to us that the cause of all the damage was a creature that the researchers kept around called the Nightmare. What the hell is wrong with these scientists? You know what? They got what they deserve. They got what was coming to them. Fucking dumbasses. The lot of them. Anyway, Adam explains it was kept for military applications. Whatever the fuck that means. As well as informing us that it can manipulate gravity. Ah, foreshadowing to what upgrade we are getting next, I see. Thank you. But we have no choice but to hunt the nightmare down and destroy it. On the way to Nightmare, we get to see the damage it has wrought firsthand, and it's pretty bad. Eventually, we will reach the submerged section of Sector 5 and will eventually find another eye door and perform the same song and dance as before. When we enter the Nightmare's room, he... oh, look at that box-shaped motherfucker! But this is Nightmare, and boy howdy is he a hideous-looking motherfucker. Nothing compared to Dragon, but hoo-wee. Eventually, you will deal enough damage to him that his faceplate will break off. Oh, put it back on. You put that thing back on right now. But you do make little work of Nightmare and the big X inside him. Pause. And afterwards, you obtain the gravity suit. To get out of this area, you'll need to speed booster your way into a section of Sector 4, which you will find fully submerged. Which, this location also houses the level 4 lock, which of course we unlock because why wouldn't we? Eventually, we will find our way back to the surface of Sector 4, as well as a new missile upgrade known as diffusion missiles, which, I'll be honest, I have no way of really explaining the diffusion missiles, so I'm just going to go ahead and play a clip of what exactly they do, rather than try to explain it like a jackass. Now, before we proceed with the story, I wanted to bring up this little Easter egg they added into the game at this stage. If you do, I believe it was a different method to reach the navigation room, you'll get this secret dialogue, which will be Adam congratulating you for reaching the nav room the way you did, and that mystery guy that Adam was all hush-hush with, talking to you about their plan. But the guy is instantly shot down by Adam, and it ends with Adam wondering how many players will see this message. It's a fun little Easter egg, but it also brings into the question, what the fuck is their plan? Anyway, back to the story. We reach the nav room, and Adam will express disappointment towards us for unlocking the level 4 lock without permission. But in my opinion, he'll get the fuck over it. The main issue he brings up, though, is that the security bot we fucked with in Sector 3 is back in Sector 6, causing a commotion. And, as always, Adam is sending us to handle it. Going through Sector 6, we will reach the bot, and it's looking mighty different this time around. Wait a goddamn minute. Is that a brain? Is that a brain in that thing? Well, I'll be damned, that is a brain. But when you kill the bot and the X parasite, you'll be given the wave beam, which allows us to go to this area here. Upon entering the restricted zone, we discover something truly horrifying. A laboratory housing dozens and dozens and dozens of Metroids. And as we continue on, we find this room that has either containers or screens showing the evolutionary line of the Metroids. When we reach the upstairs section finding even more Metroids, we hear the door under us open and explosions can be heard going off. When we reach the bottom, we find the SAX destroying the tanks housing the Metroids. However, the Metroids quickly overwhelm the SAX and we need to escape before this section of the station gets flung into orbit to explode. Which is really funny to think about, that the Metroids those early stages of Metroid are able to easily overwhelm an SAX. That is hilarious, but also horrifying, because we can't even fight that thing, and yet they took it out with ease. In the nav room, Adam is scolding us, saying we went against orders, saying that we may have to pay a price. Excuse you? Who do you think you are? Do you know who I am? Legendary bounty hunter Samus. I will beat your computer ass up, Adam. I'll shove the power cord where the sun don't shine, if you know what I'm saying. But this shows Samus actually having a conversation with Adam rather than getting barked orders. And well, she's not pleased with this response. She's definitely not happy with Adam. But Adam also spills the beans on the Federation's plan to secretly breed Metroids for peaceful purposes. Yeah. Peaceful. Right. I gotta say though, it does explain why there's a faithful recreation of each biome of SR388. As they are discussing this, Adam drops the most bone-chilling, stomach-dropping bombshell you'll ever read while playing this for the first time. Oh yeah, even Samus is flabbergasted at the fact there's multiples of her alter ego or alter ego. I need to stop doing those. After determining that there are about 10 SAXs left, Adam tells Samus to get out of here and to only stop in nav rooms. Which we don't do. As we head up the elevator, Samus once again monologues to herself about how Adam would have said the same thing, but differently. Which I have to say, real quick, it is unfortunate that the only time we ever see Adam, properly that is in probably one of the worst Metroid games that has ever been made, and that is Other M. But oh well. After Samus is done fangirling over her former boss, we find ourselves in this new area, and after exploring it, we will find... Oh, really now? Oh, really? We're doing this again, huh? Egads! What the fuck is that thing? Yeah, it looks like the boss of this area is an ex-hosting Ridley. And he's a lot worse than his original counterpart, I'm gonna be honest. Like, he's harder, man. What the hell? But eventually, you will once again beat Ridley, and after you absorb the X from within him, you'll be gifted your final upgrade, the Screw Attack. Which, funny enough, in this game and in this game alone, your Screw Attack makes you immune to all damage while spinning. You're literally a literal ball of death. But with the Screw Attack in hand, it's time to get out of here. En route to get out of this new area, we find ourselves in Sector 1 once again. And taking our usual route out of here... Wait, what is that? What the fuck is that? Huh. Anyway, when we reach the navigation room, Adam tells us that it's time to leave the It is time to leave, and the Federation will handle the rest. To which Samus is not having that, explaining that the X are too dangerous for mere soldiers to take out, to which Adam retorts that the Federation is looking to capture one of the SAXs. Oh, really now? You think you can manage that, Adam? You think the mere soldiers can do that? And of course, Samus is going to express her disapproval of this and that this is a suicide mission. But Adam does explain that the Federation knew that Samus wasn't going to assist with this and they stopped sending her support. You gotta love the government, am I right? Samus demands to have this mission halted, but it's too late. They are on their way. After Samus states that, Adam prevents her from leaving the nav room, to which Samus demands for the doors to be open, to which Adam reveals he was ordered to restrain her until the Federation arrives. Samus, starting to panic, ends up calling the computer Adam, which the big reveal that this machine is just in fact a machine. As the two are talking about Adam, the computer starts asking what would Adam do right now, to which Samus explains to it what he would do. Then the computer starts getting oddly personal with his questions, to which Samus responds saying that Adam knew what had to be done for the sake of the galaxy, which we also discover that Adam sacrificed himself for Samus. The computer, unable to feel emotion, calls him foolish, which really pissed Samus off. The computer goes a step further, explaining that the self-destruct wouldn't matter anyway, because an in-orbit explosion wouldn't guarantee the X's extinction. And after the computer hurls some more insults around, something happens. Almost as if it were hacked, it tells Samus the perfect way to eradicate the X parasites. To which the computer gives us one final objective. After that, Samus has the same face we all had when reading that for the first time. Utter shock. It would appear that the consciousness of Adam somehow hacked the computer and took control. And this is evident by the end line of the dialogue. And with that, the final objective is clear. When we reach the operations room, we have one last fight here. And it's time to put our money where our mouth is and beat this mighty morphing gooey reject. Hell yeah, fuck you bitch, we are the better Samus. We are the one that should be in that power suit. Oh my, what in the hell is that? Actually, you know what? Keep it. Keep the suit. You can have it. You know what? I think I prefer this new one. And that's why we are the superior Samus. After we defeat the X version of the SAX, unfortunately we are able to obtain it and it runs off. You fucking cuck. But it's time to blow this shit up. Which, we enter the room and start the countdown. Which, I love this whole bit because the music is the classic boss music from Super Metroid, which I thought was a real nice callback. Propulsion sequence activated. As we make our way to the ship, you'll notice the way is all fucked up and destroyed. And when we enter the hangar, our ship is gone. and these things are lying about. Wondering what the hell is happening, we end up getting attacked by... Hey, that's a loud screech, can you not? Okay. Meet the Omega Metroid. Man, it's almost as if the Metroid species can't be contained. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. But our attacks proved to be ineffective to the big behemoth, and one swipe from him can send us down to 1 HP. As the Omega Metroid approaches, the SAX will appear and hunt its natural predator, which it reveals that the Ice Beam seems to be the only thing that can damage the Omega Metroid. However, even the SAX proved too weak to stop the Omega Metroid. But hey, we can absorb him now, which absorbing him restores us to full health and finally gives us the Ice Beam, which, like the Hyper Beam from Super Metroid, it obliterates the Omega Metroid. Finally, once you kill the Omega Metroid, your ship will return and you hop in and get the hell out of there, concluding the game. Now, the end does start with a cutscene of Samus monologuing about the final encounter and how Adam took over the computer, and it eventually ends up with Adam and Samus talking, and Adam explaining how he managed to move the ship, which he said it was with the help of our little critter friends. And thus, the credits will start to roll. So, Metroid Fusion. This is easily my second favorite Metroid game. It has that classic feel like Super Metroid did, and expanded on the story, and added a suspenseful and horror aspect to it. And throughout the entire game, upon your first ever playthrough, you're constantly looking behind your back, or hesitantly moving around because you don't know if the SAX will appear to destroy you. Which, speaking of the SAX, what a fantastic antagonist. The SAX, despite not getting a whole lot of screen time, has to be my favorite part about Metroid Fusion, and probably my favorite enemy in the Metroid franchise. Just a little above Dark Samus. But it's probably my favorite because it makes you feel like you are the hunted instead of the hunter. I wish they gave more chase sequences and more screen time for the SAX, because it is seriously the single most terrifying thing in the Metroid franchise. And of course, much like Super Metroid, I highly encourage everyone to play this game. If you love the Metroid series, if you love Metroidvanias, or if you just enjoy a suspenseful story, or if you just enjoy going from a badass character to reduced to being the prey, give this game a go. You will not be disappointed. I would definitely say that this game deserves a solid 10 out of 10 for a review. It's a fantastic game. Thank you so much for watching. We are nearing the end of Metroid this year, and I want to cover one more game before it ends. And it's the game that continues and for now concludes the base story of Metroid. And maybe next time around we will cover the extras in the stories, such as the Prime series. But what do you guys think? Is this your favorite Metroid game? Do you like how Fusion expanded on the Metroid story? Oh, as always, leave those thoughts in the comments, because I'm very curious. But, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, don't forget to subscribe for more. And my name has been Esperett, and I'll see you next video.